It's had been a punch could be heard. Everyone turned around to see Goku's face slam down on the ground, and Vegeta standing over him. That's because you ate entire the food, idiot. Vegeta yelled out angrily. Goku slowly got back to his feet. No fair, Vegeta, Goku said, dusting his GI. You attacked me from behind. He frowned. Well, next time, don't eat all the food by yourself, Vegeta yelled as everyone else started to smile at their Vegeta muttered. Your wish has been granted, the Saiyan named Kakarot Goku will now be gone. Shenron spoke as everyone turned towards the dragon in shock. What? Everyone, including Beerus and Whisk, screamed as they turned back to Goku, who was suddenly disappearing. Wait, this isn't what I wanted to wish for. Vegeta yelled towards Shenron. Goku slowly looked down at his hand to see as slowly disappearing into nothingness. Hey guys, I feel cold, I can't feel my body. Goku whispered as he fell to the ground unconscious and soon disappeared from existence. There was no trace of Son Goku. Bulma's eyes shot open. Wait, we have another wish, Bulma said. Immediately she ran towards Shenron ready to make a wish. Shenron, please bring back the man called Goku, Bulma said. I cannot do that, Shenron said. Son Goku is not in this universe anymore and my powers don't extend outside the universe. You mean that we can't get him back, everyone said. That is correct, Shenron told them. Everyone looked down defeated, as they had just lost one of their best friends forever, Goku. Tien closed his eyes, gritted his teeth and clenched his fists tightly. Krillin looked into the sky, trying desperately not to cry in front of everyone. Father. Gohan slumped down on a chair and wiped away the tears that were forming around his eyes and hugged his little brother. Chi-Chi fell on her knees and cried out Goku's name, hoping he would return to them, but she knew that he may never return to the Dragon Ball world. Beerus and Whis looked at the sky praying to Zeno that their friend will return one day. Instead, Goku is traveling down into the world full of pirates and a corrupt government that is known to be called the One Piece world. It was a beautiful and sunny morning. The birds were chirping and flying around an island that was surrounded by large bodies of water. Near the top of the island, in the forest region, a man wearing an orange martial arts GI was on the ground unconscious. It was the Saiyan warrior, Son Goku. The sun burned brightly across the island, it seeped through the cracks of the leaves and was shining towards Goku's face. Goku scrunched his face and turned to his side. 5 more minutes. Goku mumbled as he slowly opened his eyes and saw he was lying down in the dirt. Goku's eyes widened. What the? Ow, my head hurts. Goku whined as he got off the ground. Where am I? Goku wondered. He looked around to see he was surrounded by a jungle that he didn't recognize. Goku flew on top of a tree and scouted the area to see any recognizable places, but not one thing was familiar to him. Goku jumped back down, sat cross-legged and closed his eyes trying to remember anything that could tell him where he was. So I was talking with my friends at Bulma's party, next I ate a lot of food at the buffet table, and then I talked with Vegeta. Goku's eyes shot open. Wait minute. Goku soon remembered about the wish and how Vegeta accidentally wished him away to somewhere that wasn't familiar to him. Wait, maybe I still can try and use instant transmission back to them, Goku said, hoping he was right. Goku pressed his 2 fingers to his forehead and tried to find any familiar key, but sadly he couldn't. It was as if his friends and loved ones never existed. Goku fell on his knees and clenched his hands. They're gone, they're all gone. Goku now knows that he is in a world that isn't the same and he will never get back home. Goku sighed and picked himself up. Well, I better go and find a village because I'm starving, Goku said jokingly, hoping that he could forget this day. Surprisingly, it did help him forget. Goku started walking around finding nobody near him until he started climbing towards the top of a cliff looking down on a palace. He scouted the area, but to his surprise, he didn't see a single person. Strange, I feel a lot of key energies here yet I don't see anyone, Goku thought to himself. Watch out! Someone screamed behind Goku. Instinctively he turned around and went into battle position thinking it was an enemy, but seeing it was a girl pointing beside him. Huh. Goku dazedly responded. Look out! The girl screamed again. Confused, Goku turned to his side and saw a large beast-like creature staring directly into his eyes with its tail swinging back and forth and its mouth full of sharp jagged teeth. The creature snarled as it readied to pounce onto Goku. A loud snap could be heard and someone fell. The creature's eyes widened, it picked up its head and turned to where the noise was heard. Goku turned his head to zero and was frightened to what he saw. Apparently, the girl tried to back away and run, but she had fallen over a tree stump and landed on a bunch of twigs and vines lying on the ground that caught a hold of her leg. The creature growled and started towards the tangled girl as she desperately tried to break free. Unsure what to do at the moment, Goku slowly tried to move towards the girl. He wasn't sure what the creature was capable of and Goku knew the girl was at a dangerous spot. He didn't want the girl to be harmed, but it was too late. The beast pounced towards the girl. Ah! The girl closed her eyes in terror. No! Goku yelled out as he launched forwards and caught the creature by the tail. The creature slammed back onto the ground. It looked back at Goku and hissed at him, but Goku gritted his teeth and swung the creature around multiple times before he released it towards a tree. The creature slumped onto the ground, not moving a muscle. Goku took one last glance at the creature before he made his way towards the top of the cliff where the girl was. Don't worry, I'll get you out, Goku said as he was easily breaking the vines that were ensnaring her. Who are you? The girl mustered out. Goku smiled towards her. Just a friend who's here to help. Goku broke the last vine and brought her back to her feet. What Goku didn't see was the creature's eyes opening and slowly getting back up on its feet as well. You okay? Goku asked, to which the girl nodded slowly. Goku sighed in relief. Good, because maybe you can. Get out the way, Goku shouted as he saw the creature pounce into the air and was aiming towards the girl. Goku immediately shoved the girl out of harm's way and collided with the creature, sending them hurtling off the cliff and towards the palace. Now normally, Goku would have flown out of the way of the palace and landed them both to safety, but he was too busy trying not to get eaten by the large beast. The creature roared in Goku's face as he was holding it back with his hand. Goku moved his other hand back and clenched tightly. Get off of me! Goku swiftly punched the beast right between the eyes and shot the creature into the lower region of the island. Goku sighed in relief, closed his eyes and was free-falling, letting the breeze brush past him as he enjoyed the cold feeling. After a few seconds, Goku finally opened his eyes, looked down and saw he was heading straight for the palace ceiling. Ahhhhht, he yelled as he crashed through the palace roof headfirst and landed into a room filled with steam water. It was a bathtub. Goku picked his head up from the shallow water and got up slowly. Why do I keep landing on my head? Goku looked up and searched the room trying to find any way out, but the steam was clouding his vision, making it nearly impossible to see. As he searched the room, he saw a rectangular-shaped object near a wall. Is that a door? Goku thought as he walked towards it, but before going any further, Goku heard a noise at the far side and looked over to see a dark outline shape of a person. Goku squinted his eyes, allowing him to see more clearly. When his eyes came into focus, he noticed an undressed woman horrified at the sight of a man in the bath with her. Her name is Boa Hancock, the Kuja Empress. As Goku noticed Hancock, he felt entranced by this woman, but not because of her beauty, which definitely outclassed any other women, but by her ardent gaze. He felt a fiery strong will coming from the woman. It was similar to his wife Chi-Chi, so he knew that he shouldn't provoke her in any way. Her look had a feeling of hatred towards him. It made Goku take a step back. This woman is not to be reckoned with, he thought. A male. In the palace. Sisters, come quickly, she screamed. Goku covered his ears at the high-pitched scream echoing around the room. Within the second, two snake-like females barged into the room with appalled looks to what they were witnessing. Whoa, Goku said as he witnessed the two snake-like females entering the room. Goku observed them closely and noticed one of them had a large and bloated stomach with orange hair, while the second was slender and had an abnormal head size with a teal-colored hair. Their names were Marigold and Sandarsania. They came into the bathtub and saw there was indeed a male in the palace. Sister, are you all right? Did he hurt you? Sandarsania, concerned, went over to Hancock examining if she was injured. Marigold's face flushed with anger. If he so much as laid a finger on you. Marigold turned her head slightly and stared angrily at Goku, making him feel uneasy. The tension slowly grew as both sides were silently staring at one another until Goku noticed a strange mark on Hancock's back. It looked as if it had been branded with a heated metal. With curiosity, Goku pointed at it. Hey, there's something on your back. Is it a tattoo? Goku asked, which horrified the three sisters even more. Hancock grinded her teeth before she spoke. You looked, Hancock said with a whisper filled with rage that Goku nearly winced at the harshness in her voice. Goku looked at the faces of the three women. He knew they wanted blood and a battle was going to erupt. They inched closer to Goku. Hey, wait a minute, Goku said, holding his hands up trying to stop them from possibly destroying the palace. Goku didn't really. Marrow attack, Hancock said in shock. It must have been a fluke. Try again, big sister. Sandarsania responded. Marrow. Hancock aimed at Goku. Again a pink energy beam appeared from Hancock's hand and headed straight for Goku. Instead of blocking the energy beam, Goku left himself defenseless to observe the attack. To Goku's shock, instead of an intensive energy beam, he noticed it was a stream of vibrantly flashed pink hearts that headed straight towards him and twirled around him like a cyclone. As the stream of pink hearts faded away into nothing, Goku was still standing utterly confused to what he had witnessed. The Kuja sisters couldn't believe it. They assumed the man would have turned into stone like every other person that gazed upon Hancock with lust in their hearts. None, old, young, male or female, could fail to be captured by Hancock's beauty. To Goku, there were signs of energy in the stream of hearts, but they lacked any explosive effects that he was used to. This led Goku to question the purpose of the attack if it had no intention to harm him. Impossible, Hancock said in astonishment. Why didn't he turn to stone? Is his heart not moved from seeing me? Marigold rejected the idea. Of course not, sister. Marigold said. While Sandarsania agreed. He must fear death more than his wicked desires of seeing you in the bath. Goku cocked his head slightly in confusion. Stone. Wicked desires, he thought. While Goku was trying to comprehend on what they meant, he saw a tail dash towards him. Get him, Sandarsania, Marigold shouted. Quickly Goku back flipped into the air as the tail rushed past him. Goku landed lightly on top of the tail. You should be more careful, you could have damaged this palace if hadn't jumped over your tail. Goku pointed out. Furious, Marigold and Sandarsania rushed towards Goku. He was engaged into a full-scale barrage of attacks. Left and right, Marigold and Sandarsania struck forward, but Goku gracefully moved or pushed away from the attack, effortlessly surprising the sisters because they have never seen anyone dodge their duo attacks for that long. Sandarsania launched a powerful uppercut towards him, but Goku crouched down to avoid the blow and then used his arms to push himself upwards, slamming his feet into Sandarsania. Goku thought that he could do this all day. Arg! Goku fell to the ground unconscious. He was hit in the back of the head with a blunt object by Marigold and was knocked out. The fighting had stopped and the Kuja women were panting as it took a lot of effort to stop the fighter. What shall we do with him, sister? Sandarsania and Marigold, who were catching their breath, and asked Hancock. She stared at the unconscious fighter, expressionless, wondering what to do with him. Eventually, a smile curled on her mouth. Take him to the arena, we'll publicly execute him in front of the entire village, smiled Hancock devilishly. A distant noise was all it took for Goku to wake up. Goku said dazedly. He opened his eyes and saw he was lying on the ground face first. Goku tried to get onto his feet, but his body wouldn't move. He felt his hands were behind his back and noticed snake coils were wrapped around his wrists and chest tightly. Goku sighed, he rolled onto his back and picked his head up, allowing seeing his surroundings. As Goku looked around, he saw hundreds of women sitting in a massive stadium, either yelling or cheering loudly. Goku picked his chest off the ground and sat cross-legged, looking around in confusion. Hey, can you tell me where am I? Goku spoke to the audience, but his question was ever so faint to their roaring cheers, making it impossible to hear it. Good, you're awake, Hancock's voice was heard from above. Goku looked up the steep steps that were in front of him to see above was the palace he crashed through. Sandarsania and Boa Hancock, while waving at her people to settle down, Hancock directed her attention to the Saiyan. Now, why did you come to our island? Hancock asked Goku. He didn't want to have to explain how he arrived at their island by a wish from the Dragon Balls, so he decided to simply say, I don't know really, I just woke up in your island. Goku shrugged. Liar. Hancock pointed at him. You think we would believe that you came here out of the blue? Your arrival to this island must have some purpose, she said. The half of the women around the arena cheered for Hancock while the other jeered Goku for trying to trick their empress. Goku cocked his head slightly in confusion and turned towards Hancock. He noticed every time Hancock made any movement, the crowd would erupt in cheers. At this point, he just had to know what was going on. These people, why did they cheer you on? Are you someone important? Goku asked. Maybe you can help me. Hancock simply laughed at Goku's request. Help you? You're on public execution. Goku's eyes widened in shock. Execution? For what? Goku asked while Hancock walked over to her snake throne and sat down. It is because you are a male. Our people despise men like you for taking advantage of other people, including their own kind, Hancock replied. Look, I just want to know where I am because. Goku hesitated. I am not from around this part of the world, Goku said. Then where are you? As Hancock was about to finish her response, a voice was heard from a distant. Sister. Hancock stopped and everyone turned their heads to a gate leading to the palace. A figure appeared out and revealed to be Marigold. She held a boy in the air for everyone to see. TVE found him, sister, Marigold spoke and Hancock nodded in approval. As Goku watched, he noticed the boy was wearing a straw hat around his neck and had a cut under one of his eye. The boy was trying to break free from his bounds in her grip. I'm going to beat every single one of you, Luffy said angrily towards the three sisters, but they just scoffed at the boy's remark. Beat us? Just who do you think you are talking to? Sandarsania hissed at Luffy. I am the empress of this village. What I do is to keep my sisters and my village safe from filthy creatures just as yourself. Hancock said. She turned back to her people and spoke out loud. The two of you will not leave this island alive. Hancock spoke with authority, bringing chills down to the Kuja women's spine. They know the two men's fates were sealed. Please wait, Hancock. A voice pleaded from the crowd. A woman got from her seat in the stadium and jumped on the stage in front of Goku with her hands outwards. Goku's eyes widened. It's you. Goku said. It was the same girl he protected from the large creature on the mountain cliffs. Marguerite. Luffy shouted towards the young Kuja. Marguerite, huh? Nice to see you again. Goku grinned, but she ignored him and remained motionless in the presence of everyone. I don't believe that these men are lying to us. I do not believe that they mean harm to our country. Marguerite spoke. Faint whispers swept through the audience, taken aback by their sister's apparent trust in the two men. The Kuja Empress frowned. Tell me your name, child. Marguerite was trembling but bowed to her empress. My name is Marguerite. She spoke. Hancock crossed her leg over the other before she spoke. The simple act of entering this country means certain death for any man. You, as a Kuja, should know this. Why do you defend them so? Hancock said. Marguerite straightened her posture to look directly at her empress. Quote, I feel have I debt to them. I was being attacked by vicious creatures up near the mountains when he saved me. Marguerite said, pointing at Goku. Marguerite then pointed towards Luffy, and if wasn't for him, I would not have made it back to the village, she said. The audience grew silent as they watched their empress uncross her legs, rise from her throne and stroll casually down the lawn and steep steps. They feared for their Kuja sister, anticipating what would happen next. Marguerite bowed her head as Hancock was upon her, waiting almost patiently. Hancock stepped forward. Raise your head, honest, Marguerite. The empress spoke. Marguerite felt her chin uplift by the Kuja empress, forcing her to gaze directly into her majesty's mesmerizing eyes. Hancock smiled, knowing well that the young Kuja was entranced by her beauty. She raised her hands in front of the young Kuja, Marrow. Before Marguerite could blink, she was turned to stone, frozen in whatever stance she held. What? Goku exclaimed in shock. What happened? That's the same move that she used on me before, so why did she turn to stone? Hancock turned around and casually walked back up to her throne. Why did you turn her into stone? She was just trying to help us out. Luffy screamed as he was flailing around. Marigold had pushed Luddy to the ground in order to restrain him from escaping her grip. Exactly, she helped you out, which is prohibited in our village. That is why I turned her into stone, Hancock said as she sat back on her throne. No, Goku shouted. He lay on his back and raised his legs into the air. He then propelled himself forward and landed lightly on his feet. Goku expanded his arms apart, allowing him to slip through the snake coils and run towards Marguerite. This surprised the Kuja women as they witnessed Goku's athleticism. Goku reached Marguerite's lifeless body and was horrified. He couldn't believe it. Why would an empress do this? It was just like in Namek when Frieza took the life of his best friend Krillin in cold blood, right in front of his eyes. Even though he didn't know Marguerite very well, he still cared since she tried to help him and the boy out, even when she knew there would be consequences. There were still kind people in this island, Goku thought, but he couldn't believe how they were treated. He bent his head in front of Marguerite, masking his face away from everybody. Goku was pissed, and I mean pissed. How dare you? Goku said in a low and dangerous voice which surprised everyone. How dare you? Goku roared, his shout so loud it shattered all the glass in the pala, which made all the villagers scream in terror. Hancock leaned forward and gritted her teeth. Who is this man? The empress thought in disbelief. Goku, not moving his body, turned his head towards the empress and her two sisters with anger in his eyes. You will turn this girl back to normal or else, Goku said in his steely voice. Hancock scoffed at the man. Who do you think you are talking to? Goku turned around fully and stared directly at the empress. He took a step before vanishing. What? Hancock exclaimed as everyone just witnessed the man disappear right before their eyes. Immediately Goku reappeared in front of Hancock and her sisters, taking them by surprise. Goku glared at the three sisters. I won't let you kill innocent people just because of me. I don't care who you are, and I'm not letting you take your hatred of me out on anyone else. Goku spoke with authority, sending chills down the sister's spine. Why you? Sandarsania said as she struck her fist forward only to hit the air. Sandarsania was shocked at how quickly the Saiyan moved. She looked left and right for him but couldn't see him. Suddenly Goku appeared onto the stadium with his arms crossed. You'll turn her back to normal now, Goku spoke. The stands full one of women whispered in disbelief to what they witnessed. Hancock stared at the man expressionless as she thought over the Saiyan's demand. Alright, I'll turn her back to her normal if you beat my sister Marigold in a duel. Hancock said, I've got him now. When Marigold is done with him, he is going to wish he never challenged me. Hancock thought to herself, that man may as well surrender. She laughed silently at the thought of it. Goku's face lit up. Really? You can turn her back if he beat her in a fight? Awesome. Let's do it. Goku cheered while Hancock had looked of shock by the man's sudden change to his normal self. Luffy couldn't help but laugh at Goku for being serious for one moment and then not the next. You're pretty funny, spiky-haired man. What's your name? I am Monkey D. Luffy and I want to be the Kia. Luffy had been punched in the face by Marigold, knocking him unconscious. Silence, you little brat, Marigold said. Goku saw Luffy's ki was low. He assumed Luffy had probably taken a beating before Marigold brought him here, since Goku saw many bruises on Luffy. Wait, I want to compromise. I will take on both Marigold and Sandersonia if you return Marguerite back to normal and release Luffy too. Goku says to Hancock. How'd you ask to change the rules our sister had laid down? Sandersonia said, you should be grateful that she is allowing you to live this long to fight me. Marigold hissed at Goku. I accept your demands. Hancock replied, taking the sisters by surprise. Big sister, Marigold said slowly, but I want to add something. You will have to take on one more thing before you versus my sisters. She says to the Saiyan. Goku grinned while cracking his knuckles. The more the merrier for me, I guess. He says. Hancock pointed towards the arena. Release Bakura. She shouted, causing a wave of whispers to form around the stadium. Goku turned around to see a gate opening, and within it was a Black Panther beast staring at him. It walked out into the arena and growled at Son Goku. Hancock smirked. That beast's name is Bakura and he was our executioner back then. It will be your opponent. Hancock told Goku, if I recall, he didn't eat for 7 days. Bakura will eat anything we give him, so you better fight with all your might. Hancock spoke as she and her two sisters smiled, expecting Goku's fate to be sealed. Goku didn't fear the beast. In fact, he left himself wide open for the panther to strike. The panther seized the opportunity and struck at Goku. But to their shock, Goku launched his leg up and struck Bakura's jaw. Bakura was sent flying into the air as everyone looked into the sky, wondering where Bakura was. Suddenly Bakura was seen hurtling back to Earth and crashed into an empty stand. The shockwave of his kick had caused the tiles underneath him to crack. The crowd and the three sisters couldn't believe their eyes. A mere man had that much willpower to knock a panther that size out of the arena. Goku turned back to the Empress and her sisters. Alright, who's next? Goku asked while cracking his knuckles. Annoyed, Hancock arched her back and pointed towards Goku. Take him out for me, will you, sisters? Hancock asked. Of course, Empress Hancock, both women said in sync. Both Sandersonia and Marigold went into the ring and smirked as they started to transform into their real forms. Both women had grown bigger and transformed with odd snake-like tendencies. Marigold had a voluminously bloated stomach with large swollen lips and long wavy and untamed orange hair, while Sandersonia had a disproportionately wide head with a snake-like split tongue that dangled loosely out of her mouth and a slender snake-like body. Salamander forked snake. Hancock crossed her leg over the other before she spoke. Once we beat you, you will forgive me for turning her into stone, won't you? Hancock asked, though she already knew that like every other person he would not be able to resist her beauty. If you think I will forgive you for what you did, then you must be out of your mind, Goku said in disbelief. Hancock was holding her chest in pain as if she had been attacked. How can there possibly exist a man who is immune to my charms? Hancock exclaimed out loud. The crowd had grown even rowdier and wanted revenge for their empress, throwing slurs at Goku for disrespecting their empress. But you've got something wrong. Goku's voice was heard. And what's that? Hancock looked down at the Saiyan. You still think I am going to lose? Goku smirked. Hancock was getting annoyed with Goku's cockiness. Sisters, get rid of him now. Hancock ordered. The battle between Goku versus Marigold and Sandersonia was about to begin. Goku observed his surrounding. If I were to attack them at full power, I might accidentally kill one of them, let alone destroy the entire island. Two should lower my power enough to battle them both. Goku thought. As Goku got into his fighting stance, Marigold was life. The battle between Goku versus Marigold and Sandersonia was about to begin. As Goku got into his fighting stance, Marigold was lifting her axe and swung at Goku, who jumped back to avoid being sliced from the shoulder to his hip. Not letting up, Marigold began a relentless attack on Goku. He was forced to evade the axe, content to study the reptile-like woman's fighting style. Just as Goku ducked at a strike meant to behead him, he took a quick glance at Sandersonia coming from the side and dodged her tail attack. Relentless, both Marigold and Sandersonia went on a barrage of attacks, but none of them would connect with Goku since he moved faster than they could hit him. Changing tactics, Marigold spit out a purple OOZ that Goku noticed was melting a small part of the ring. Best not get hit with that. Goku thought as he continued to evade their attacks. Sandarsinia was keeping Goku busy with her barrage of attacks but could not connect with him. Goku wasn't worried until he noticed that Marigold wasn't in front of him. He soon realized that she must have gone behind while he was fighting Sandarsinia and was going to strike him behind again. Clever, but it's not going to work, Goku thought. He was right. Marigold was right behind him with her axe in the air and waiting for the moment to strike him. Quickly Goku slammed his fists down on Sandarsinia, who plummeted downwards on the floor, which caused the entire arena to shake. Next Goku turned around to see Marigold about to slam her axe on his head. I only got one shot at this, Goku thought. He stood his ground and raised his hands to grab the axe before it landed on his head. Marigold was startled and shocked at the man's reflexes. Not that many have the ability to stop a moving blade with their bare hands. Now Goku and Marigold were locked in a battle of strength to overpower the other. Marigold thought she had the upper hand at Goku since she was pushing the blade towards him. I am done playing around, Goku said. That made Marigold wince. He grabbed the handle and the bottom part of the axe and along with Marigold threw her across the arena. She landed with such force it caused the arena to explode with dust and rock scattering across the arena and into the stadium. The crowds had to duck under to avoid being hit with the debris. Goku was the only one standing. He looked at Hancock and smiled. I guess I win, right? Goku grinned. I don't think it's over. Do you think so, Marigold? A voice was heard behind Goku. Certainly not Sister Sonia. Both sisters' laughter was heard by Goku. He turned around to see two dark outline figures inside the dust that formed around the arena. As the dust receded, Goku had a look of horror. Sandarsinia was tossing the stone girl like if it was a ball. He raised his hand at Sandarsinia. Stop. What are you doing? Goku yelled at her, but Sandarsinia looked at the statue and back at the Saiyan, smiling devilishly. I am going to crush her, she said in a low whisper. Goku was now worried if she breaks the statue, Marguerite may never come back. He pleaded with Sandarsinia and then turned towards Hancock. This is between us, not her, Goku yelled. He was now on the verge of dashing towards them and get the stone girl, but was worried that he might shatter her instead. Goku was running out of options until one idea popped into his head. Go ahead, crush her, see if I mind, Goku said casually, shocking everyone considering he was pleading them not to do it a few seconds ago. Okay then, I'll go ahead and destroy her into pieces. Sandarsinia spoke as she lifted the statue up in the sky, watching Goku very closely. Come on a little higher, Goku thought. When Sandarsinia lifted the stone to the maximum height she can lift it, Goku dashed towards Sandarsinia's face. Taiyoken, Goku shouted. Immediately a burst of light shined across the arena, blinding everyone except Goku, who swiftly grabbed the state and kicked Marigold and Sandarsinia to the ground. Everyone around the stadium screamed in terror as they were momentarily blinded and couldn't see. Hancock gritted her teeth as the blinding light affected her too. What did you do? Asked Hancock when her vision cleared up to see both her sisters on the ground again and Goku the only one standing. I just used an attack that blinds the opponent momentarily, Goku said as he held the statue carefully over his shoulder. Goku disappeared again and reappeared in front of Hancock and the unconscious Luffy. Ah, big sister, Sandarsinia and Marigold shouted, worried the Saiyan might attack her. Instead, Goku placed the statue near the throne to protect her from being caught in Goku's battle against Marigold and Sandarsinia. Goku got up and looked at Marguerite. He placed his arm on her shoulder and sighed. I'll beat them and return you back to normal, I promise. I don't know if you can hear me, but I just wanted to let you know, Goku said as he turned towards the steps and walked towards them. Hancock huffed in annoyance. Bah, you men are troublesome. Goku stopped in his tracks and turned his head to glare at the Empress. You just piss me off even more, Goku said as he continued to walk down the steps. Hancock fell faint to the Saiyan's words. Big sister, Marigold and Sandarsinia cried out. They glared at the Saiyan coming down the steps and struck at him. Goku saw them and disappeared from sight as the two sisters struck only the air. Immediately, Goku appeared on the stadium behind the two sisters with his body turned away from them. He spun around to see all three sisters and crossed his arms before he spoke. Whatever issue you have with me, leave my friends out of it. This is between you and me only. Hancock bristled. She hated being ordered to do anything, much less by an inferior man of all people. Hancock was seething with anger, her beautiful face contorting in rage. But for some odd reason, Hancock felt lightheaded and a certain warmth rush in her cheeks when the man spoke to her, voice filled with such strength, leaving no room to argue. She dismissed these feelings as an odd side effect of the distress that had afflicted her ever since Goku had taken in the sight of her back. Sisters, I want this filthy creature gone now. Hancock ordered. Yes, big sister. Sandarsania and Marigold replied as they faced Goku. This time we are going full power, Marigold said as she engulfed her body in flames. Sandarsania's hair started to form into snakes but made of hair. It may just be hair, but their bites are as strong as steel, Sandarsania hissed as the two sisters surrounded Goku. Do you think you can stop us now? Said Sandarsania. Goku looked at both fighters and smirked. I guess I'll go full power as well, Goku said even though he's lying. Goku clenched his fists tightly and gritted his teeth. Ha! Goku yelled as he was powering up. It felt like the entire island was shaking because of him. What is he doing? Sandarsania thought. Suddenly his body was flickering a red aura that looked similar to Marigold's technique, Kaioken. Goku yelled. Suddenly, a red aura flamed Goku's body as it turned a shade of light red. What type of devil fruit does this man possess? Marigold thought. Hancock grew impatient. Enough. Take him out, sisters. Hancock spoke. Yes, big sister. Marigold and Sandarsania said. They charged at Goku who wasn't moving. We got him now. Sandarsania thought. As they inched closer, Goku disappeared from their view. What the? Marigold said. Kami-ha, me. Marigold turned around to see he was behind her with his hands cupped together. No. Marigold screamed. Ha! Goku shouted as he pushed his hands forward and a blue energy ball came from Goku's hands struck Marigold, causing her to lose balance and hit her ceased. Sandarsania, who sadly got caught on fire. Oh, no, Sister Sonia. Marigold cried desperately trying to calm her sister down, but Sandarsania was frantically trying to douse the flame by moving around, to which made the situation 10x worse. Sandarsania accidentally crashed into Marigold, which caused them to fall over to the arena and down towards a pit full of spikes. Screams erupted from the crowd as they watched Marigold and Sandarsania falling in. No! Goku shouted as he ran towards them and instantly disappeared. The two sisters closed their eyes waiting for their impending doom when nothing happened. Marigold and Sandarsania slowly opened their eyes to see that it was the man they were fighting mere seconds ago trying to save them. Goku was floating in the air holding onto them as he was flying them back to the arena. I got you, don't worry, I won't let you fall. Goku smiled at them. He lifted them back onto the arena where thousands of spectators were cheering that Marigold and Sandarsania were alive. When Sandarsania was about to get up, her cape had slipped a little, causing the people to scream in terror, the Gorgon Eye. If we see it, we will turn to stone. The crowd yelled. Hancock's eyes widened. She got up from her throne and pointed to the gate leading away from the stadium. Everyone, get away as quickly as possible, before the Gorgon Eye is exposed. Hancock shouted. Immediately the crowd of women started running away from the arena. Before the cover could fall over, Goku jumped onto her back trying to cover the mark as best as he could. Don't move, Goku told Sandarsania until Marigold rushed over to her sister's aid and could put back on her cover. Sandarsania sighed in relief. She looked up to see the Saiyan standing over them. Why did you help us? She asked wearily. We were your enemies and yet you treat us as if we were allies. Goku stood silent for a moment. Whatever this thing is that you don't want your people to see, it has no bearing on our fight. Besides, I don't think either of us really wants to continue this battle. Goku responded. He turned to see Hancock with her hand over her face trying to hide her tears from showing. Goku flew towards her and Hancock saw him coming. She wiped away her tears and glared at him. Going to mock me now, huh? Hancock's voice cracked, threatening to start tearing up again. No, I'm not going to. I came to ask you if you would keep your side of the deal, Goku asked softly. Hancock wanted to respond when Luffy started waking up. Huh. Oi, spiky-haired man, can you get me out of these? Goku turned to look at Hancock and she didn't even try to object. By the way, it's not spiky-haired man, it's Goku. He smiled while breaking Luffy out of his bounds. Thanks, Goku. Luffy grinned as they were now shaking hands. Ahem. Hancock cleared her throat to get the two men's attention. Luffy turned towards Hancock and was the first to speak. So will you turn her back to normal? Because all she did was help us. He says to Hancock. Hancock closed her eyes. Never had she actually considered complying with a man's wish before, and it was this thought that scared her. No, I must first confirm their true nature. A sudden thought went through the Empress's mind, causing a small smirk to cross her lips. I just have to uproot these men's true desires, a test. Hancock thought. She looked at the two men before she spoke. Indeed, I have the ability to reverse their petrification. However, I shall only grant one request between the two of you. Goku and Luffy looked at each other in confusion before Hancock continued. You mentioned before that you need transportation off the island, correct? Well, my proposition is this, I reverse what I've done to this woman here, Hancock gestured towards Marguerite. Or you have my word that you'll leave this island safely to wherever it is that you need to be. But, let me be clear that only one of you will be leaving this island. She says to them. Goku and Luffy were shocked by the Empress proposition. Wait, you can't do that. Both of us need a ship off this island. Luffy yelled in outrage. Choosing the Marguerite's freedom over his one chance off the island didn't even bother him. It was the fact that the Amazon Empress had forced them to decide between Luffy and Goku on who would be allowed to leave the island while the other was left behind. That didn't sit right with him. Luffy never abandoned his friend, and even though the rubber boy had only known Goku for a short while, he considered the orange-clad martial artist one of his friends. Luffy felt tempted to force the Empress and her sisters to give them a ride off the island but was prevented taking such actions when Goku stepped in. Goku positioned himself in front of Luffy, who stopped to stare into the uncharacteristically serious expression on the Saiyan's face. It's okay, Luffy, I know you're friends. But you'll be stuck here then. Luffy exclaimed. It's fine, Luffy, there's no point in arguing with me, you need to leave more than I do and we both know it. Both stared at each other trying to see who would back down but both sides wouldn't budge. After a few minutes, both Goku and Luffy laughed and turned towards the Kuja Empress who was waiting for their decision. Bending down on his knees and pressing his forehead towards the ground, Luffy bowed, an action that surprised all of the women present. I never abandoned my friend, so please turn her back. Luffy said. The same goes for me. I'd rather be stranded here than choose myself over my friends. Goku added with a broad smile on his face. In the far-off stands of the stadium sat an elderly Kuja woman who observed the scene. To have made such a decision without a single hesitation. The elderly Kuja mused in silent shock. Especially as powerful as they are. Particularly the boy with haki of that caliber, bowing his head so willingly. The old Kuja thought as she saw the strained look of consternation on Boa Hancock's face. What will you do now, Hancock?
Hancock couldn't believe it. Both men would rather be stuck on the island if it meant saving one person? Hancock had reversed the petrification on the woman and she was excused from the arena. Both Goku and Luffy thanked Empress Hancock for returning the woman back to normal, but Hancock just looked at them and then went into the palace. Sander Sonia, Marigold please escorts them into the palace now. Hancock said. Of course, big sister. Marigold and Sander Sonia said. Goku and Luffy walked up to the palace and was told to wait by Hancock as she went into another room. Marigold and Sander Sonia were talking to each other silently when Luffy started talking to Goku aloud. So you defeated them both, huh? That's awesome, I wish I could have helped, said Luffy. Yeah, but don't sweat it, you were badly injured in the first place. Even if you were about to fight them, I might have had to knock you out so you wouldn't get hurt any further. Goku said, grinning a goofy grin, making both of them laugh. Please come in now. Hancock called out to them. Goku and Luffy walked into the other room and saw Hancock revealing her backside with brand that marked her. Goku noticed that it was straining her from even looking at the mark. He wondered how she got it in the first place. Hey, I've seen something similar to this mark. Well, it's not exactly the same as the one I've seen before. There's this fisherman friend that I have that has a similar marking that looks kind of the same. Luffy said. If neither of you know what the bearing of that marks means, then it's time you were informed, said the new voice. A new voice spoke from the room's entrance, prompting everyone to look back. Standing at no more than few feet in height was perhaps the smallest person that Goku had ever seen. It was an elderly woman, presumably a Kuja. The old woman also held onto a cane that was in fact her own snake, while her other hand had in its wrinkled grasp a newspaper. She's even smaller than Krillin. Goku thought to himself. Elder Nyan. Marigold and Sandersonia shouted together. A scowl set on Hancock's face. You again. Where did you? Your name is Monkey D. Luffy, am I correct? Nyan said. Yeah, how did you know that? Luffy asked her. It would be nearly impossible to not recognize the boy who struck at a world noble. Nyan replied along with gasps being heard by Hancock and her sisters. A world noble? Hancock replied in disbelief. Who is a world noble? Goku asked out loud. All heads looked towards Goku as he finished his sentence. How can you not know who the world nobles are? Asked Nyan questionably. Goku said, scratching his head nervously now. Looks like you've got a lot of explaining to do. Nyan said. Yes, but before doing so, can someone explain to me who are the world nobles and are they strong? Goku asked Nyan, their select group of nobles whose ancestors were said to have created the world in their own image. They hold more power than anyone in this world and have the backing of the entire military at their beck and call. They abuse their power to enslave anyone they please, be they human, pirate, fishmen, or even mermaids. Nyan told the Scion. Goku angrily clenched his fist up. Those people should pay for what they have done to those slaves. But I want to take them all on right now to see how powerful they are. Goku said as he grinned at the idea of taking on the most powerful fighters in the One Piece world. But Goku, how will you take them all on? You could barely take on Marigold and Sandersonia even when you went full power? Hancock asked Goku. Heh. Well, you see. Goku said as he scratched his head. Goku told them that he was only 15% of his full power. 15%? Everyone yelled. You mean to tell us that you were fighting at 15% the entire time? Marigold and Sandersonia said in shock. Yeah. I thought maybe if I used too much power I might accidentally destroy the island. Goku said slowly. The three sisters and the old Kuja looked at EAC. Other wondering how one man can have this much power yet be so gentle and have a pure of heart. Goku, you promised us that you would explain yourself. The old Kuja asked. Yes, I did. Very well. You might want to take a seat. It may take a while. Goku said while sitting down getting comfy. It took Goku a couple of hours to briefly explain how he was from another world, similar to theirs, how he was from a warrior race called the Scions, how he was raised on Earth and went on an adventure at a young age to find the 7 Dragon Balls. He also described how he was the protector of Earth after defeating enemies such as his rival Vegeta, the Tyrant Lord Frieza, the bio-android Cell, Majin Buu, Frieza's older brother Cooler, a space pirate Bojack, etc. Later on to being the protector of the galaxy for stopping an enemy called Moro who threatened to destroy anything in his way by using old magic. He finally ended it by explaining how he was celebrating with his friends over their victory against Moro when he was accidentally wished away from his world into this world, the One Piece world. Well, that's how I got to your island. Goku explained. He was worried that his explanation might make them think he sounded as though he'd gone insane in the head. But to his surprise, the three sisters and Th Kuja Elder had believed every word he had said. They hung on to every word he had told him, asking him questions such as the difference between their worlds, all except Luffy, who dozed off after Goku explained his encounter with the Ginyu Force. Surprisingly, yours is not the strangest I have ever heard. Nyan replied. Well, I think we should conclude story time for today. Hancock turned to Luffy. The ship will be ready by tomorrow morning. Until then, you're free to rest in the palace, though I would ask that you refrain from wandering too far. A feast is already in the process of being made and should be finished shortly. You're free to join. The Empress didn't even finish her sentence before the two men dashed off towards the banquet hall. Before going any farther, Goku turned around towards Hancock and bowed. Thank you from both me and Luffy. Goku said, smiling and saluting his 2 fingers from his forehead before heading off to catch up to Luffy. Hancock stifled a giggle of the man's antics. The feast lasted for hours and the Kuja villagers piled in to watch the men closely to see what they did. Hey, Goku, want to have an eating match? I've never lost once. Luffy grinned. Same here then. Okay, then let's go. After a few minutes of non-stop eating, the victor was Son Goku with 85 plates full of food empty, while Luffy came up with 62 plates full of food empty. How can you eat so much? Luffy said with stars for eyes. I could ask the same for you. Goku laughed. It's because I have a very fast metabolism that it allows me to consume more food for energy. He said. I just always feel hungry, Luffy replied. Both broke down laughing as they realized they have a lot in common, food. Eventually the feast ended. Kuja women were starting to leave so they could go back to their homes. Luffy passed out sleeping from eating so much food while Goku flew out the window to get some fresh air. Goku flew towards the cliffs that started this entire quest and saw the entire palace from this view. He still was appalled on hearing how Hancock and her sister had to endure pain and suffering while enslaved by the celestial dragons. Goku couldn't believe that it was still happening to this day. This was infuriating the good-hearted Scion. No one should have to be treated like this. Goku thought he found his purpose in this world. Goku already had plans on visiting these world nobles when the time came. Though, in the meantime, the Scion also had the intention of accompanying Luffy on his voyage to return to his friends. It just so happened that Luffy's destination was also the home of many of the world nobles, and where their despicable acts of cruelty took place. Exhausted, Goku flew towards the jungle and rested on top of a tree just like he did as a little kid and soon fell asleep. Boa Hancock walked around the palace thinking of the day's event and the request Elder Nyan and Luffy asked of her. The young pirate that had caused such a stir in the world as of late had begged the Empress to help him save his brother, who clearly meant the world to him. Hancock had felt compelled to assist Luffy simply from the desperation that he exuded, and the fact that he had helped her sister Marigold from being attacked by a couple of beasts even when she had tried to capture him. This had certainly helped his cause. But there was still something holding her back, and that hesitance alone gave her pause. She told Luffy that she would think his request over the night and give him her decision tomorrow. They wouldn't be departing anywhere until tomorrow, so she had given herself some time to collect her thoughts and come to a decision. Come to think of it, that other man, Goku, wasn't there with Luffy and the old hag when they spoke their case. Boa Hancock gasped slightly in shock as a sudden thought struck her like thunder. Was the reason for my hesitance somehow caused by his lack of presence on the situation? She asked herself. She couldn't believe it. No, she wouldn't believe it. The idea itself left the Kuja Empress simply befuddled. Is my decision really contingent on what that man's stance is? Preposterous. She denied. Why would she value the opinion of this man, whom she had hardly known for a day, more than even her sister's or her own opinion? Hancock grew tired. She entered into her chamber towards the comforting sight of her bed. Perhaps sleep will bring me the answers I seek. The next day came and Goku flew up to the chambers to see Luffy and Nylon talking to each other. Hey, what's going on? Goku asked. We are awaiting the decision of Empress Hancock if she would help Luffy getting his brother back, Portgas D. Ace, and join the other Shichibukai in the war with Whitebeard. Ace is to be executed by the Marines very soon, so we need to get a decision from Hancock as soon as possible. Goku looked at Luffy, who was keeping his head low and away from anyone's view. Those Marine fools! Elder Nyan spoke with clear distaste in her voice. I can't believe that they forced a confrontation with Whitebeard of all people. Neither side will walk away without casualties. What were they thinking? She said. I would wager that there wasn't much thought involved in the first place. Hancock's voice was heard as she entered the chamber behind Goku. She averted her eyes when they met Goku's and began to fidget under his gaze. Hancock, so are you going to help me get my brother back from Impel Down? Luffy asked, looking up now. Hancock had the entire night to think over Luffy's request, but still hasn't come up with a decision. Before the Kuja Empress could make out a proper reply, Goku stepped forward, lightly, blushing Luffy to the side. Hancock met the Scion's onyx deep eyes and found herself strangely fixated with their depth. Hancock's legs began to feel a little weak and her face slightly warm. I know that this is a rather huge favor to ask, but could you please help Luffy? He asked the Kuja Empress. If only it were so easy. Elder Nyan thought to herself wearily. She knew how difficult it was to persuade Hancock of anything that she was reluctant to do. The woman's personality suited only to her needs and that of her sisters, but not much beyond that. I've been trying to convince Hancock in responding to the government's call for the Shichibukai ever since they sent the notice, but she's always turned me down, despite knowing the jeopardy that she puts our country in for her negligence. They even sent a vice captain to personally convince and escort her back to Marineford. She said to the two men. A light blush dashed across Hancock's cheeks, making her usual beautiful features even more mesmerizing if it were possible. If that is what you truly wish, then I shall go wherever you desire. The Kuja Empress's declaration threw the sisters and Elder Nyan aback with sheer surprise. They started open-mouthed at the spectacle that was their empress, acting like a love-struck schoolgirl. All right! We're going to save my brother Ace, yelled Luffy while jump up and down out of pure joy. Goku smiled and took Hancock's hand and shook it. Thank you very much, that really means a lot to Luffy and me. He says to Hancock. This causes the Emperor's face to turn red and blush even harder. After he lets go, he joins Luffy in his celebration. Elder Nyan looked as equally perplexed as the Kuja sisters, trying to rationalize the strange scene. She looked closely at Hancock to gauge her face and reactions. The Empress had a look of fawning on her features, and a faint red hue stained her cheeks. Her eyes would shyly peek at the man called Goku when he wasn't looking, and she constantly toyed with her fingers. It was an action so unlike Hancock. What could have brought about this sudden change of character? Nyan asks. Realization struck the elder like a bolt of thunder. The elder Kuja gasped. Of course! Hancock is suffering from lovesickness. It's the only explanation. Nyan thought to herself. If her hunch was correct and Hancock did indeed suffer from lovesickness, then Hancock would have no choice but to comply with the wishes of this Goku, lest she fall victim to the same condition that ended the life of her predecessor. The elder's swollen lips thinned tightly with worry. Ill need to speak with Hancock before she plans to depart. Thankfully, her decision to help the Straw Hat Boy happens to coincide with the benefit of our country's livelihood. Nyan said. Helping Luffy meant that Hancock would need to appeal to the call of the Marines, which would therefore prevent the world government from revoking Hancock's position as a Shichibukai. The elder heaved a weary sigh as she leaned on her staff. She then looked at the orange-clad Scion warrior that had somehow found a way to bring out a softer side of Boa Hancock, other than her usual cold and hard demeanor. I don't know how you did it, but you actually managed to worm your way into Hancock's heart. That was something that I had feared was lost forever in her deeply troubled past. For our Empress's sake and that of our nation, I pray that you aren't the type of man who would take advantage of this.